jump in. So, the thing I'm trying to talk about with this is not just that this is a low key diss track to Lotto, which is what I think it is. I think this is a low key diss track to Lotto. That's a little mess for me, but I'll come back to why I think that is in a second. Is that it touches on a greater conversation about basically the like a schism between black folks, probably nationwide, but definitely in Atlanta, which has one of the Atlanta I think now does is worse than Detroit, has the highest disparity in income of any major city in the country. And some of y'all, and that might be surprising because when you think of Atlanta, you think of black folks with money. You know, educated black folks, the Atlanta University Center representing right now, Clark University. And that's all true. But what that actually ends up doing to an extent is having the appeal of, so you have the general income disparity that you're just going to have in a lot of spaces. But in particular in Atlanta, black folks, because we have this black bourgeoisie elite class, it's actually in a weird way making disparities worse in the city. Because now, not only are there, white liberals and, conservatives or whomever moving about the city, pushing around black poverty and black working class and underclass folks, but you have black folks doing it too. Now, there's a whole lot of different intersections that change how that works and what that means, but it's still something I just think is interesting to talk about, and it's also going to come up in my Obama video coming Monday.
So I'm a geographer. I'm getting a PhD in geography from an urban geography department. You could argue that I am a sociologist, but I'll fight you if you do that. But one of the things that we tend to focus on when it comes to geography is where things are, because we think that tells us something specific. And as hard as racial segregation is in the U.S., income segregation is by far and large the greatest form of that. In honestly across the world, it happens both within in groups and within out groups. So white rich people are separate from white poor people, just as black rich people are separate from black people and poor people, and so on and so on.
Yes. And so, and what's interesting, and I don't know the full breadth of this, right? But coming back to this map. So, anybody that knows the city, hold on, where we at? How come I can't get this to, here we go. All right, so if you know the city, you know that right up here is Buckhead, coming up here, going towards Sandy Springs. That is the most populated part of Atlanta, period. And it's very diverse. It's probably at least 30% black, which, if you think, I don't know how those numbers stack up nationwide, but I feel like they're higher in terms of talking about money people. Sandy Springs is technically not Atlanta, but that whole area, a chunk of that still is. And I think, and you let me know if this sounds plausible. The reason why Atlanta's income disparity is so bad is because a lot of black folks have either followed white money to certain spots and have been able to maintain without really encouraging white flight too much. And black folks have also created their own wealth pockets within the city, and some of them outside of the city, where you have half of my graduating class. Half my graduating class, to pull up the zones again, half my graduating class lives around here. Zone 4, going into College Park. You go further out, they don't show it. The Camp Creek area, which is its own city now. And that leaves all these other black folks kind of stuck in the city in these little pockets of poverty.
That tracks. I mean, about gentrification. Gentrification can push people out. But gentrification isn't for rich people. Gentrification is more or less for middle income. What ends up happening is that the highest incomes take themselves out of the situation and create their own places.
That
They
makes
tend
sense.
not to go in and buy up stuff and fix old things, which, I mean, like, it does happen, but more so than anything, high incomes, and we're talking like high incomes, we're not talking like, you make $400,000 a year. But the high incomes tend to pull themselves out and create their own spaces because, so the first rule of geography, which it's not entirely bullshit, but it tends to ring fairly true, is that things that are closer together tend to be similar to one another.
So, can you tell us about this man right here? You like when I mentioned him earlier, you sighed. This man right here. if you want to know one of the, like, if there was a Mount Rushmore of racists,
and racists that like span disciplines.
yeah,
Like architects know about this guy.
yes. If there is a Mount, so we got, let's see, all right, let's do this with me, y'all. The chat, y'all let me know. So Mount Rushmore of American racists. We got Ronald Reagan. It's so many to choose from.
Just pick some names. You can't really go wrong.
David Duke, I feel like he's just an OG. Let's see.
Honestly, Richard Nixon.
Nixon. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Herbert Hoover for sure.
Herbert Hoover. All right, so take Duke off. Nixon, Reagan, Hoover, and this dude right here, Robert Moses. All right, so break down, but he's less known because he wasn't a president. He wasn't a political figure. I don't think there's any movies about him. But he's like so significant to the state of black people nationwide. Could you like give us a quick
Robert Moses, and I forget the guy's first name, but it's Levitt. He has the Levitt towns that you see all over the country. Those two fine gentlemen are responsible for the way cities and suburbs look in a way that I don't know I can really detail in its full accuracy. Robert Moses. So I'll give you an example so everyone understands just how incredibly racist this man is. Black people have an association with public transit. This gentleman built a bridge too low in New York to be able to take a bus across a certain place so that it would keep the black people out. So even if the city wanted to send a bus there, because he made the bridge too low, the bus would never get there. Like, this is the degree of fuck these Negroes we were talking about.
And so, but as I was saying, so like the thing that people don't understand about structural racism, so like racism built into society, is that it's not just people calling me the N-word. It's not people following me around the store. It's not the YouTube algorithm. It's the way that these systems force people to move about their lives. Like, period. And so Moses was like, he famously, I don't know the full history of it, but basically he became, like you said, big in city planning. And he was like, look, if you want to have your cities be great, you need to build roads and highways to get to the suburbs, etc. And they built those highways through black communities.
They did. So I'm from both Philly and not Philly. Currently in Philly, and I-676 is a major throughway through our city, which we arguably really don't fucking need because we have a highway that goes around the damn thing, and Philly doesn't cover that much like square space. And to put that highway in, they took out pretty much every black community they could find along that highway, and now it's just like a Now it's basically just a river whenever it rains. Well, not whenever, but the last time it really got going, it was more or less a canal.
Yeah, that I want to show. I had it set up and it's gone. Let me see if I can find it. I want to show y'all how insidious. It's not insidious. It's straight in your face. But how real this nonsense was with Moses.
I just want to point out that this man has a square, the squarest head I think I've ever seen. I don't know. I don't think I've really like internalized a photo of him until just now, and he looks like a Roblox character.
All right, so just follow me real quick. There's a street in Atlanta that is a perfect example of what this man did, because it is a residential road that leads directly into the highway in the most unnatural way you've ever seen. And I had it earlier and I cannot find it now.
Yes, I love you too.
Okay, cool. So it's on the screen. All right, so this is a beautiful street. Probably a lot of gentrification. Real talk. Like a lot of gentrification. Y'all let me know. Are y'all seeing what I need y'all to see? Looks like y'all are. All right. Gorgeous street, right? If you ride up the street, this normal residential street, I'm sorry, I'm thinking going the wrong way. If you ride up this street, it leads you to an on-ramp for Atlanta I-20. Y'all, I guess y'all can't fully see that, but can y'all kind of tell what that is? Like, that's the expressway. And that's the legacy of Robert Moses. They took a city street, like in real time. If you go to this street, this is a nice street, probably still all black, has been historically all black in the city of Atlanta. But that street is, they built a highway directly through the city of Atlanta, through a black neighborhood to make an expressway. And the point of that expressway, to give you kind of the final image of what it was this right here, Highway 20. Because, and I can't zoom the map out on this, they wanted to be able to connect Douglasville to Stone Mountain. Because Robert Moses was basically like, you want to build parks in suburbs. Fast forward 30 years later, those same people that were in these parks and suburbs are coming into the city of Atlanta to regentrify what the city is. And now I want to find, I got to get Bellamy back. All right, y'all can hear Bellamy. All right, because Bellamy, I know you have to run in a second, because Bellamy's getting ready to go on her own Twitch to play Horizon Forbidden West, which I'm also playing. But I cannot. If you want to see how bad these lives are, try to have me play video games while talking to people on Twitch. That shit does not work. But just give one last little like conversation about the structural violence of income inequality, gentrification, like the whole kind of gamut that I'm leading into.
Fuck, that's a...
Like, do all the things. What is your dissertation, Bellamy, is what I'm asking. In the next 3 minutes.
That's a completely different subject, actually. The urban part of this is really just a small part of my dissertation. But if we're talking about what gentrification tends to do, so I think it might have been Ruth Wilson Gilmore, I'm not sure, calls it the seesaw of capital. So what capital does is it will devalue something, so then it can come back later to make value from it again. If you think about how people come in and they flip homes, or they will come in and literally just knock down buildings and build new ones, they will devalue an area, then come back to make it more again. And this is true in Atlanta. This is true very, very true in Detroit. It's happening here in Philadelphia. And what that does is, in a system where you rely on your ownership to build wealth, not necessarily earnings, but your ability to own property, in this case homes, what that does is it makes sure that you can never build wealth, even if you own your home in your particular area. My grandfather God rest his soul, owned his home in Philadelphia, and that home ain't worth not two pennies now, despite it being a very nice home. It's just because of where it is and who's in it
That's
that it's
real.
going to be that it's not really worth anything. So even if they were to begin to gentrify the area, and his now ex-wife, well, his widow, were to sell that home, she wouldn't get nearly the value for it that it's actually worth, because what capital does is it artificially deflates and then will inflate the value at its own whims. And capital's the only one that ever really capitalizes on that. There's conflicting anecdotes, not anecdotes, but conflicting data in the literature, where if you're able to hang on, if you can cling for dear life in a gentrifying area, then your life will improve for your children. But that doesn't happen all that often. It requires you to work however many jobs and pay however much rent above what you should be paying for you to be able to like stay.
That's wild, and that's what makes this so interesting, especially for Atlanta, because it's a prime example of the black bourgeoisie. Like, not just because there's always the conversation. I know you got to go. You can just let me know when you got to bounce. There's always the conversation about being compelled to participate in the system, right? We don't have a choice. But then there's a greater conversation in terms of, are you going out of your way to reify and reinforce the system? You know what I'm saying? How often are you calling the police on your black neighbors in the community you moved into that you're not from? You know, how are you voting locally on ordinances and, you know, policies and what businesses get to come in and come out and what y'all are doing with your you know, the school dollars, etc. Because, go ahead.
It's a lot more than that too, because these are people. So we talk about like job creators all the fucking time. It's really irritating. But the people that really create jobs are people that start businesses in local communities. And most people, the vast majority of people that get jobs, don't get jobs from job listings. They get them from connections to other people. And that's one of the things that makes this exceedingly insidious, to come into an area with money, to be able to start a business, but then to bring in other people from outside the area to work in that place, as opposed to hiring the people that live there so they can earn and be able to pay the rent and be able to remain. It's not ideal. That's not how I would do it at all, but it's still like, it is so exceeding. There's this thing, so I forget the study, but money literally breaks your brain. And I mean that without any sense of irony.
That's not
whatsoever.
hyperbole. You're saying no, literally.
No, it absolutely breaks your brain. It lowers your ability to empathize with other people. So what they did is, the study was like they had people, they just like studied like an intersection or whatever, right? And they just studied like the quality of the cars. And people that had quote unquote junky cars were far more likely to stop and to make room for other people crossing the street and other cars. And people in nicer cars drove so aggressively on average. And it's not like, it's not a one-to-one or whatever, but it illustrates what money does to your brain, because it makes you so ridiculously selfish.
Yeah.
And you like cling to it. It happens to me if I'm not rich or anything, but if my like bank account gets above a certain amount, I start feeling like stingy.
I can tell you, man, somebody hit the Bo Burnham video today for whatever reason, like spiked. I don't know why. That video changed my life though. And like the check, like I wasn't making any money off YouTube for over a year. And then I finally started, I finally got monetized after a year because of Khadijah and Bo. Shout out to Khadijah. And then
we love Auntie Khadijah.
Yes, loving Auntie Khadijah. And then I got like my first little check. It was like, $300. I was like, oh snap, this is side hustle. This is, some new video games, some gas money, whatever. And then Bo Burnham hit. I'm not gonna say what the number was, but I'm just gonna say I quit my job 3 months later. And immediately I had an existential crisis myself. Like, yo, I did not get into YouTube to like make this type of money. I didn't know what money was in YouTube. I just wanted to make dope videos. And then like immediately I was like, all right, I gotta like ground myself and level set. Because one, I haven't reached that number since, right? So that's one thing to remember is that niggas go broke real quick. I was listening to Kendrick Lamar earlier today. But two, I'm already part of a black bourgeoisie class in Atlanta just because of where I went to school, because I have advanced degrees, because we are living above a certain median income level. But I've been very intentional about not like making that my identity, because that concept of black excellence, especially in Atlanta, and people don't know Atlanta has old money, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. But like Atlanta, being black in Atlanta ain't like being black other places. I assume. I know I don't want to. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody else's city, but the way it feels, is I've been in other cities. The way it feels here, the way people regard you here, the way people move, generally speaking, because they don't know if you broke or not. Because niggas be walking around Atlanta, if they not a rapper or an athlete, they are agent to a rapper or athlete, or they got the tech company that the rapper or athlete invested in. It's the whole gamut of economic empowerment and black capitalism. Atlanta is the like epicenter of the black capitalists. So I've heard black folks say some wild shit about other black folks in this city. With all the letters behind their name, with all the kente cloth, with all the hashtag black excellence on their Instagram and Facebook. And and that's like this, and this is all just trying to amplify what you just said about money. Is it changes you regardless of where your moral compass is supposed to be and who you say you're loyal to, you know, and none of us are above that. Ooh, somebody here. Thank you for I wanted to make sure the purple circles comment just came through. Bellamy, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump into some more some other details on the culture that Amaretta is attaching herself to, and then get into some messy gossip a little bit. Y'all, for those who are here for Bellamy, first off, Bellamy Rhea is another YouTuber. She had popped up in one of my videos a little while back. She's just generally part of the crew, and she made this super. You want to describe it? It's not even like a video essay as much as a meditation piece for me.
It is a reflection of the work that I am doing for my PhD, which is focused almost entirely on emotion, because emotion I think is, like I say it in the video, is the base thing that drives us to make a decision. We don't choose to just do things willy-nilly, right? Willy-nilly, good Lord. We don't just choose to do things, and we aren't necessarily just responding to things. The thing that drives our decisions are our emotions, our emotional experience of things. So when I'm looking at, when I was making that video, it was on the heels of Lindsay Ellis leaving, it was on the heels of Yara Zaid leaving, it was on the heels of people like Princess Weeks and Khadija Mbow expressing frustration with being a public figure. And the idea of the video is to show that, one, our emotions govern our behavior more or less, and two, that the emotion we tend to shy away from the most, or the emotional state we shy away from the most, I think is the most powerful, and that's vulnerability.
Yeah, so it's really dope. Everyone should go check it out. The thing, I'm becoming more of a YouTube nerd, especially rolling around with these Nebula folks. Foreign knows all about that gang. And the thing I love about that video is that it doesn't feel YouTube-y.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's doing literally the thing that I want to do,
right?
Which is to make people feel things.
Yeah, like when I talk to you afterward, I was like, all right, I low-key don't even want to give you no advice, because all my advice is gonna be YouTube-y, and like that would be breaking the cool, unique thing you're doing. So yeah, Bellamy is heading to her Twitch to play Horizon Forbidden West. For those who want to follow, for those who want to stick around, we're about to get into some hip hop shit as usual. And yeah, everybody, I guess there's F in the chat. I don't know. Pog in the chat.
Oh no!
No?
Oh god! I need to get the fuck away from you.
I'm sorry.
Stay here and watch FD for the remainder of this. I will be on for a while and come over and join me. You all
right.
like to.
Peace,
I
Bellamy,
need to get away
peace.
from the boomer.